You're watching the Black Wonder channel, where we discuss current events, geopolitics, and much more.
And so it goes. Hamas launches large-scale combined attack on Israel. Israeli occupation army said Hamas was behind a combined attack, including the firing of rockets and terrorist infiltrations into Israeli territory from the Gaza Strip. Rockets streamed across the sky repeatedly after the first launches from multiple locations across Gaza. The office of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, whose father helped blow up the King David Hotel with Irgun terrorists, said the premier will shortly convene security chiefs over the violence. Israel has imposed a crippling blockade on Gaza since 2007, after Hamas took power. Several far-right Israeli ministers live in settlements in the occupied West Bank, which are deemed illegal under international law. Nobody cares about that. Meanwhile, Mark Crispin-Miller says this surprise attack on Israel seems just as sketchy as the wildfires in Lahaina. Decensored.news covers the media blackout after Hamas issues that statement about their motives for the attack on Israel, which doesn't get a lot of coverage. Israel orders a complete siege on Gaza Strip, cuts off electricity, food, fuel, and water for the human animals. That coming from a man, Chris, at informationliberation.com. And hundreds of thousands more Israelis okay to carry guns under new rules. That from timesofisrael.com. And perhaps the most galling one, James. U.S. has enough weapons for Israel, Ukraine, and more, says the Pentagram. Of course, this whole thing, every bit of it, all stinks to high heaven. Zionist, terrorist, false flag events, amplified by feds and talking heads. Nepo baby Jamie Lee Curtis shared a sad photo saying, "Terror from the skies," until she realized she was sharing a photo of Israelis bombing Palestinians. Post deleted.
And you're exactly right to say that this stinks to high heaven. There are so many things that are coming out right now that certainly don't add up in any way that makes logical sense. So again, there's all sorts of craziness going on right now, and I would say do not believe anything you are hearing, certainly not at face value, coming out of this war zone right now. Never believe anything you're hearing coming out of a war zone, but especially this one. But what this potentially is about, and what you're gesturing to right there, is the potential for the broader conflict. And we all know what broader conflict means when we start talking about end times apocalypticism in the Holy Land, etc., right? It was Iran. We've got inside sources that are telling us Iran was helping to plot this, which was then further amplified by Israeli Foreign Minister Eli Cohen, who talked about Hamas, and this is Hamas, who is a proxy of Iran. So floating that. It's, like you said, incubator babies 2023. War propaganda. Again, yeah. It's all my only question is this incubator babies 2.0 or babies on bayonets 2.0? Why not both?
Why not both, indeed. Israeli rave massacre survivors detail their escape as scores remain missing. This is coming from Billboard magazine. As the Palestinian group Hamas continues to attack Israel and the country retaliates by bombing Gaza, survivors of the terrorist attack at the Parallelo Universo Supernova Sukkot Gathering Electronic Music Festival near the Gaza border are continuing what has become a grim search for hundreds of people who are still missing. The exact number of the remaining still missing has not been verified, although two sources in Israel put this number at approximately 150, accounting for bodies that have since been recovered and identified, as well as survivors who have been identified. I think there are hundreds, possibly 1,000 kids still missing in Hawaii, but nobody cares about that story anymore. I may be so crazy as to speculate. It looks like a bunch of IDF Mossad spooks acting like coolly cool rave kids. The dancing Israelis are now possibly the raving Israelis. In other musical massacres being covered by Billboard, Bruno Mars instructed to evacuate Israel amid terrorist attacks, leaving behind band's gear. On Saturday, Bruno Mars, born Peter Gene Hernandez, his birthday this last Sunday, October 8th, set to become the third American artist ever to perform two sold-out concerts at the 70,000 capacity Hayarkon Park in Tel Aviv, Israel, following Illuminati High Priestess Madonna in 2009 and MJ 30 years ago in 93. Bruno Mars played his first show there last Wednesday with two Tel Aviv acts opening, running nearly 4 hours in total. Both shows were promoted by Bluestone Group, which is owned by Live Nation Israel.
what exactly was the military strategic objective of this massive invasion force that swept in on their paragliders? ? Again, there's so much that doesn't add up with this story, but again, the only possible response that you would expect from some military strategy like this is exactly what we're about to see, which seems like it's going to be the ground force invasion, full-on ethnic cleansing of 2 million people in Gaza. I don't know what else you would be expecting. So one would expect, if that was going to be your strategy, the only possible follow-up to that is escalation. And yes, if it was going to be some sort of broader regional war and you were going to bring in Iran and what have you, maybe that makes sense. But from any other military strategic objective, it makes absolutely no sense.
Thank you for watching the Black Wonder channel. If you found value in our content, please like, subscribe, and share.